So how hard is it to get started with the 508c1A trust, otherwise known as the common law irrevocable ecclesiastical trust? So there are very few people in the country, first of all, who even use trusts, right? Most of the education is all around how do we be a slave and dependent on the government, starting with our social security number issued to us at birth, 9 digits, slave number, corporate number. And then when you move higher up, when you start to make some money and, maybe you're starting a business, what does everyone in the matrix tell you? Oh, get an LLC, get an S Corp, get a C Corp. Once again, you're dependent on the statutes and codes of the government. But once we get into this area of trust, okay, now it's, you're learning to actually stand on your own 2 feet. That's what a trust is. It's a privately written agreement. And so when it comes to the 508c1A trust, there's all this myth out there that it's so hard and, it's just very, too complicated to use. But it just couldn't be farther from the truth. Lawyers and accountants want to have you dependent on them and following all these 10,000 pages of rules, when in reality, you can just slice right through that when you understand the US Constitution. So the 508c1A trust that we use from Liberty Aid Academy is a 9-page templated document. You just, print it out, you fill in the blanks once you get it. So it's like your name, your address of the trust, the roles and parties of the trust. So that's going to be the grantor and the trustee. You don't need to declare the beneficiaries on this. So really, all you need is yourself. You can be both grantor and trustee in this trust. And then you fill out those quick blanks, notarize it, boom, done. I mean, that can be done in literally 45 minutes in any given afternoon. Then if you want to, start operating the world in business, open up a bank account, brokerage account, the next thing you do is you go to the IRS. There's a very specific process to get an EIN number for your newly created private trust. And that process is all in the course. It explains exactly how to do that. It takes about 3 minutes. It doesn't cost you a dime. So after you get both the EIN and you've notarized that 9-page trust document, now with these 2 documents, you can go out into the world and start to do business. Banks will give you bank accounts, brokerage accounts. You can trade crypto, you can own real estate, buy and sell, all sorts of things, right? And in terms of implementing this quickly, we've had banks issue account numbers for this trust in literally 45 minutes. So in one afternoon, you could technically notarize it, get a bank account, and then if you're a real estate investor, you could quit claim your properties into it, and all of a sudden, boom, one afternoon, your whole property portfolio is tax exempt. I know that sounds kind of crazy, and some people might think it's too good to be true, but that's the reality when you're not a slave, when you understand your rights under the Constitution. It's really that simple. Now, in terms of the other question I get a lot when starting these trusts is, what should I name my trust? And so there are 2 primary naming conventions that we use when dealing with this trust. The first is your first name, last name trust. So one of my trusts is the Martin Goman Trust. And that's just, your first trust that's declaring that you're with Jesus Christ. You signed under God. It says it right there, your name, right? So that's one way to name these. And the second way that we typically use is a Christian trust. So one of my trusts is the Christian Sanctuary Trust. That is a parsonage used to house Christian ministers like myself and others who choose to stay with me. And so it's all about strategy in this game we're playing. If I'm going to hold a property and it's owned by the Christian Sanctuary Trust, do you think I'm more likely to get a property tax exemption than if it's in some, ABC LLC? Probably. And so that's one of the reasons why we use a Christian named trust or a personal named trust. We want to, camouflage in, operate in the matrix in a way where, we are lawful, completely legal, but also we get the most benefits possible. We want people to know that, look, we operate under Christ and we're operating in a completely lawful, legal, tax-exempt way. And our 9-page trust document is right here with our EIN number. It's all right here. And any institution you want, you just give those documents over And most of them will be happy to do business with. So really getting started is that simple. It can be done in a single afternoon, and it's going to completely change the entire trajectory of your business and ultimately your life. So if you want to learn more on how that works, then see the link in the description below where you can learn more in our school group. And in your journey exploring private trusts and kind of looking into this world, that is going to be a place where there's going to be a lot of people who are using this. There's modules on not just private express trust, but how we use it in the real world and implement the trust with other assets, particularly real estate and high cash value insurance policies are assets that many of our clients work with. So I look forward to seeing you on the other side.